Namaste students. So welcome to today's chemistry class. So we are in the chapter states of matter. That too particularly, as I said, we are going to study the liquid state as well as the gaseous state in this chapter. Now in the previous chapter we have learned about the relation between the intermolecular forces as well as the thermal energy. Wherein when you increase the thermal energy of particular matter, what happens is that the particles, the kinetic energy of the particles increases. So what happens? They start moving far away from each other, and due to this the intermolecular forces goes on decreasing. Right? So intermolecular forces are said to be very weak in the gaseous state when compared to liquid as well as the solid state. Okay. So in today's class we will learn more in detail about the gaseous state. Okay. So here the gaseous state is said to be very important, and the physical laws which govern these states of matter are very important. Okay. So starting with the gaseous state, as you all know, we remain immersed in an ocean of air, right? Or air is a mixture of gases, and we live in the lowermost layer of the atmosphere, which is a troposphere, and that shields us from the harmful radiations, right? And this particular atmosphere or the surface has many gases like dinitrogen, dioxygen, carbon dioxide, and also the water vapor, right? All these. So we say air is usually the mixture of gases. So let us talk about this gaseous state, and also the physical laws which govern this gaseous state, and how according to temperature as well as pressure does this gaseous state vary. How they arrange themselves, what are their intermolecular forces, what happens when we try measuring them using some of the parameters like mainly pressure, volume, temperature as well as the mass. So this is what we are focusing on. So coming back to gaseous state, you all know it is the simplest state of matter first of all, and their intermolecular forces are said to be really weak. They are freely spaced, they are loosely packed, and the interparticle spaces are said to be really large, right? So here let us look into some other physical properties too rather than what we have studied before. So the first one what you are going to study is that gases are really compressible. They are said to be having a property of compressibility. Now why are these gases compressible? So as you all know, gaseous state would look something like this, right? The particles will be loosely packed, they are freely spaced. Now what happens when you try applying pressure or when you try compressing them? That means you are applying pressure and getting the particles or molecules close to each other. Now what happens is that as there is much of space remaining between the particles, here you can apply as much as pressure you want so that these particles come closer, right? And they become compressible. Now what happens when you try compressing them and cooling it? They become liquid, right? So we say it is the liquefaction of gases. So this property is exhibited by the gaseous state when compared to liquid and solid. What happens is that the particles do not have much of space, and because of this they are not said to be that compressible when compared to gases. Now as these have less forces of interaction, right, and also they have large space between the particles, they can be easily compressed. So this is the main idea about the compressibility. So we say gases are compressible in nature. That's one of the unique property of this particular state of matter. The second one, they exert pressure in all the directions. Very simple to understand, they exert pressure in all the directions. You imagine a pressure cooker. As you start heating, imagine you have some water, you start heating it. Once if the rice gets cooked inside, what happens? These water particles, they undergo the change to gaseous state. Now what happens? These gaseous state are freely spaced, right? They occupy whole of the container. They don't stay in a particular part of a substance, right? Now liquid, they stay in the lower part of the container. Whereas gas, when it is turned to gas, they spread all along the container or around the container. Now what happens? They try coming out, right? So once they get converted into gaseous state, they can't stay at one particular space. Instead, they exert pressure, right? Because they are freely spaced. So this is the main idea behind the exerting pressure in all the directions. As they are freely spaced, they tend to take the whole of the container. It is not just the lower part, or it is not just the particular volume of that particular container. No, it's not like that. They try to attain all of the space present inside the container, and that's why we say when they take the whole of the container, they are freely spaced, they try moving outside, and because of this they exert pressure equally in all the directions. Remember this, they exert pressure equally in all the directions. So this is the second point. Now the third one, they have lower density than solids and liquids. Now as you all know, solids, the mass by volume, density is nothing but mass by volume. Now the number of particles present in that particular volume is said to be more in solids, and then you have liquids, they are a little bit freely spaced. So there are less number of particles when compared to particular volume, and then comes the gaseous state again. As they are freely spaced, what happens? They take more of the space. So here the density or the mass by volume would also be less. So this is the third one, that is they have lower density than solids and liquids. And the fourth one is the volume and shape is not said to be fixed. Now imagine you have, now here itself, you have gases moving around, right? They don't take the volume of that particular container or in this particular space, nothing like that. They don't have a particular volume or shape, just like you have solids, right? Imagine this as a chalk box, this is a solid. Now this has a particular volume and shape, right? Liquids take the shape of the container, they have a particular volume, but gases are not like that. Once these gases, the volume and the shape is not said to be fixed, they take the shape and the volume of the container itself, right? And the volume cannot be equal always. So we say that volume and shape of the gases is not said to be fixed. Very simple, already studied. The last one, that is they mix evenly and completely in all the directions, right? They try mixing evenly. Why? Because as you all know, first of all they are loosely packed, so that what happens when they are loosely packed, there are spaces present in between, and because of this, when they try mixing with other matter, they get into the spaces between these particles very easily. If the other matter has to combine with it, they get into the spaces between these particles. So what happens here? They get evenly mixed. Okay. So if you try mixing a chalk to this particular box, does it mix? Why? Because the spaces present between is said to be very less. They are tightly packed inside. But if you have a very loosely packed matter, what happens? Other matter can get into the space and mix evenly. That is what it says. They mix evenly and completely in all the proportions. It can be any of the proportion, any of the volume. It can mix evenly and thoroughly. Okay. So this is about the physical properties of gaseous state. Starting from the first one, that is they are compressible, unique property of gaseous state. Very important to be understood, compressibility. So by the compression and cooling, you can convert the gaseous state into liquid state, and this process is called the liquefaction of gases. And the second one is that they exert pressure in all the directions equally. Remember that, okay, it is not just to one direction or one of the sides of the container, nothing like that. It is equally from all the directions. And the third one is that they have lower density when compared to solids and the liquids. Okay. Then volume and the shape is not said to be fixed. Instead, they take the shape of the volume, shape and the volume of the container. Both of them of the container, and they mix evenly and completely in all the proportions. Right. So these properties are usually due to the intermolecular forces of attraction. Either they are loosely packed or the interparticle space. So based on these, we have the different physical properties of these gaseous state. Okay, so this is about the physical properties. Now moving on, let us study about the different physical laws which govern these gaseous state. Okay, on what basis does this gases work under particular pressure or temperature or volume or the mass. Okay, so based on this we have different laws which scientists have experimented and studied how does this gas work. Okay, so let us look into that right now. So starting with the gas laws, as I said that the scientists have experimented the different parameters, measurable parameters of these gases based on pressure, volume, temperature as well as the mass, okay, of these gases, and they have obtained various results of these gases based on different parameters, and these are called to be the gas laws. Okay, so we have different gas laws given by different scientists. So starting with the first scientist who gave a gas law, the scientist's name is Boyle, and the law was called the Boyle's law. Okay, so here mainly, as I said, the parameters to measure the gases are: one is mass, one is temperature, one is pressure and volume. So there are 4 parameters. So based on these we have different gas laws. Okay, so the first one, starting with the first one, which is very important, and this can be asked for 3 to 4 marks, okay, in your exam. So very important to be understood. So the first law, which gives the pressure and volume relationship. Remember this, children. This gives a relationship between P and V, which is nothing but the pressure and the volume. So here Boyle's law states that, now let me give you an example and then start. Now imagine you're trying to increase the pressure of the gas. Understand this. You're trying to increase the pressure of the gas. You're compressing them, right? Increasing pressure. What happens to the volume of them? What happens to the volume of the gas when you increase the pressure? Obviously the volume decreases, right? The volume which you had taken initially after applying pressure has decreased, right? But see to it that the number of particles or the number of gas molecules whatever you have taken is constant. You have not increased the mass or something. No, it is constant. And also mainly the temperature is constant. You are not going to vary the temperature. Okay, whatever temperature you have taken it fixed, it remains the same. It remains a constant. Whereas at constant temperature, what happens? As you apply the pressure, the volume decreases. So this is what we understand. The same law was given by Boyle, which is said to be the Boyle's law. Okay. Now he says that at constant temperature, okay, at constant temperature, what happens here? The pressure is inversely proportional to the volume of the gas. Now I'll tell you why this is inversely proportional over here. Here the gas mass is said to be fixed. Remember that the number of molecules remain the same. But when at constant temperature, as you increase the pressure, the volume keeps decreasing, and that's why I've written inversely proportional. So we say if you have to give an expression for this, okay, a mathematical relationship, so you give it as pressure, okay, is inversely proportional to the volume. So as the pressure increases, the volume decreases. So this is the main thing which you have to remember under Boyle's law. Okay, so pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So we say as you increase the pressure, the volume keeps decreasing at constant temperature. Okay, that's why we say it is pressure and volume relationship. Right now, always when you have proportionality, this proportional symbol, you try to give it a mathematical equation, giving it a constant. So here comes a constant equal to K1 into 1 by V. Okay, so K1 here you have brought it as a constant in order to remove this proportional symbol, and this particular constant which you have brought here is the proportionality constant. Okay, this is the proportionality constant K1, and this equation can be rearranged like this. Now, from this relation, you also obtain another property, that is, if you try rearranging this. Now, if you try getting the volume to this side, what happens here? You get it as PV is equal to K1, right? So this is how you can rearrange. If you take this volume to the other side, here you get that pressure and the volume, the product of the pressure and volume. This is multiplication here. So we say the product of pressure as well as the volume remains a constant. This is also another result of what they have obtained. First of all, they say that the pressure is inversely proportional to volume, and when the constant is brought here, which is a proportionality constant, when you try rearranging this, you get something like this, a relation. So here we say the product of pressure as well as volume remains the constant, always remains a constant, because this K1 is a proportionality constant, right? So we say pressure and the volume, the product of them remains a constant. So what the scientists have done is that when they tried increasing the pressure, they noted down the values of volume too. Okay, so you have pressure values and the volume values. Okay, so when they took the product of both of them, they found that all the values remain the same. Okay, according to the relation, experimentally they have obtained the values remaining constant. So this is another result what they have gone from this particular law. So when you try rearranging the equation itself, you get it. Okay, so this is one of the thing to be remembered, that the product of pressure and volume remains the constant. Okay, that's K1. So this is mainly about the law which is to be understood. Okay, this is what the law states. Now imagine you have a gas, okay, the fixed number of molecules of gas at constant temperature, and the volume, maybe you take it as P1, okay, the pressure, okay, you are applying pressure, maybe you take it as P1, and when you apply pressure P1, the volume would be P1. Now after the expansion, after it undergoes expansion, imagine the pressure would be P2 and the volume would turn to V2 at constant temperature. Remember this as the law states. Now P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2 is the relation, right? So it is the initial pressure and volume, and then you have final pressure and volume, right? So this equation can be also arranged in this way, that is P1 by P2 is equal to V1 by V2, right? So here you see that this particular values, when you divide it, you get a result, right? So that can be equal to your initial volume and the final volume. Okay, so this is one of the relation to be remembered. Usually this can be asked in some of the problems. Okay, so usually in the problems they may give you the initial volume and the initial pressure of a gas, where you have to find some of the parameters. So this is said to be a very important expression. Okay, so P1 by P2 is equal to V1 by V2. This is one of the expression to be remembered. Okay, so this was this was a result obtained using expressions, mathematical expressions. Now when these values, okay, were taken and when we graphically represent it, okay, so graphs were done based on the results which were obtained from these relations. When the first graph, if you see the pressure and the volume, okay, so here pressure was taken in the y-axis and then you have volume in the x-axis. So when, as you can see, the volume increases, as the volume increases, what happens to the pressure? You see these curves, the pressure keeps on decreasing, right? So here, as the volume increases, the pressure also decreases. So when you keep the temperature constant, see Kelvin, you have a particular curve. Okay, and then 400 Kelvin, you have a particular curve. So here, for each of the temperature, the curves are given, and these curves, okay, and these curves, where you keep the temperature constant, okay, at a particular temperature is given. So at a particular constant temperature, you take this curves, that is pressure and volume curves, right? So these curves are called the isotherms. Isotherms. Very important, isotherms. So the temperature curves are nothing but the isotherm. By therm, you see thermometer, which represents the temperature. That means this is isotherm, where temperature is said to be constant. Okay, and at particular temperature you take this curve, so they are called isotherms. Okay, so different isotherms are being given as a result of these relations. So for each of the temperature you get a different curve, wherein you see that as the volume increases, the pressure keeps on decreasing. So this was one of the graphical representation or the graphical result which was obtained from these relations. Now you also have to remember that if you try making the pressure in a double, okay, in a double volume, imagine you are doubling the pressure, okay, or if the pressure is doubled into 2, what happens to the volume? Now as you all know, it is inversely proportional, right? So if you try doubling the pressure, if the pressure is doubled, what happens to the volume? It should be 1 by 2V. Imagine you double the pressure 2V, this becomes 1 by 2V, right? Because these are inversely proportional, so this becomes half the volume, right? So if the pressure is doubled, what happens to the volume? It becomes half. When you try applying pressure, right, when the pressure is doubled, the volume becomes very small, that is half of its volume, right, as they are inversely proportional. So a graph was taken in the same way, that is 1 by V was taken, inversely proportional, okay. So 1 by V was taken and the pressure, this is not the same, here directly volume was taken, as you can see the graphs were plotted in a decreasing manner, but here when the volume was inverse, 1 by V was taken, what happens here? You get the straight lines which passes through origin, okay, that is 0, and you see that the lines or the slopes which you obtain from this particular graph is said to be constant. Okay, so when 1 by V and pressure was taken, the result what you obtain, or the straight lines what you obtain, makes us understand that the results of this pressure and volume is said to be a constant. Okay, so when they plotted the graph and also when they take the slope of this, okay, the results were said to be a constant. So this is one of the result, okay, by the graphical representation. So mainly there are two graphical representations. So here it is 1 by V, children, remember that, and here it is directly volume. So these curves are called the isotherms, remember that. Okay, so this was the law given by Boyle, wherein the pressure and volume relationship is given under constant temperature and the number of molecules were also fixed. Okay, so this is about the graphical representation as well as the relation given by Boyle. Law says that the pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So as you increase the pressure, the volume decreases. And you can see these graphs which are plotted. Now as you all know, these isotherms, okay, one thing to be remembered is that at high pressures, okay, these curves are not being obtained, okay. So this particular law is only applicable only at low pressures, okay. Low pressures, this particular law is applicable, okay. So that is one thing to be remembered over here. So this is about the Boyle's law, and now you also know that density is nothing but it is mass by volume, right? So density can be written as mass by volume. So this is the formula what you know, mass by volume is nothing but the density. Now if you try substituting here in terms of V know that you have a relation according to the volume of a gas, right? So here when you apply this density, okay, to this particular gas, okay, so you can rearrange the equation as m into 1 by v, right? 1 by v can be separately written. Now 1 by v, okay, 1 by v becomes P by K1, right? When you take that K1 to the other side, you can write density as V is equal to M into P by K1, right? Now what we do is we get this mass and K1 together. So here this becomes M by K1 into P. So this is kept separate. K1 are taken to the other side, to the mass. So here M by K1 into P. This is the expression what you get. Now here this M by K1 can be also represented as D is equal to K dash into P. Now this M by K1 can be also written as K dash. Okay, K dash into P. Then K dash is also a constant. That K dash means it is M by K1. Okay. So here you obtain a relationship that is D is equal to K dash into P. So this is the relationship of the density as well as the pressure, which is very important. Density and the pressure. How does it vary? So as you can see, as the density increases, the pressure also increases. Remember this. Okay. So here, this is the expression what you get between the density as well as pressure. Okay. So this is one thing to remember, children. Very important expression between the relation between density as well as pressure can be asked. Okay. So this is how you obtain. Where are you substituting for? That is volume. Okay. So you get this particular expression. So this is about Boyle's law. The main significance of Boyle's law is that as you all know, you are applying pressure and the volume increases or decreases. It depends. So based on this, the compressibility, the property of compressibility was given by this particular law. So you know that compressive is nothing but applying pressure, right? So what happens to the volume? It decreases. So based on this, the compressibility or the liquefaction of gases idea was given by this particular law. That's the physical law of these gases known as Boyle's law, which is very important to be understood.